Hello, welcome back to All For United WSC. Well, the transfer window is open, and what better day to do a show like this on? Call it dream, delusion, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be throwing off some names. It's in the title. If there's going to be any rival fans in here that jump on this, oh, you're never going to get her. Well, of course not. It's called Dream 11, Delusion, whatever you want to call it. We're going to do that, try and put some United players in there as well. And we're going to talk about some realistic targets a bit towards the end as well, and all things like that. So just a bit of a transfer special, really. We do have a fourth member. He's currently stuck on the East Lancs at the moment, so hopefully he'll be joining us at some point in the next hour, depending on when he gets back. I'll come to each of you before we're going to start off with Dream 11 in just a second, but I do want to come to each of you while the transfer window is now open. Charlie, starting with yourself, for United this summer, where do you think we should be prioritising most? Obviously, striker is the one position that we've majorly lost. We don't have too much, I guess, quality depth there, if you could call it that. Obviously, we've already lost Honor as well. We're expecting to lose at least 3 or 4 more as the next few weeks go on. But what position would you be prioritising this summer?
If it was one position, striker, which I would have said even if Russo hadn't gone, I still think we need a better striker. We need someone who's going to score more frequently. I would also argue that we've got space for another left winger or left-sided forward to put Galton under a bit of pressure. And I think we need a better backup goalkeeper, but that's hard to come by, isn't it? Someone who's happy to play as number 2. But they are the 3 positions, I think, in that order. So striker, left-sided forward or left winger, and then backup goalkeeper.
And Helen, for yourself, do you agree with that one? I mean, Sarah's saying their striker is an out-and-out... Oh, she's gone. She's back. Striker's an out-and-out must. Do you agree with that one, or is there any other positions that you think that we should be really prioritising this summer?
Yeah, definitely striker. I wonder, do we have a backup Hayley Ladd? I don't think we do, unless Lisa's going to do that. That's what worries me. And because we were so lucky with injuries, like not having any last year, I think we might come unstuck a bit if we don't try and have at least 2 for every position in general.
Is that going to be the key this summer, Charlie? That the fact that we're going into Champions League, hopefully more games should we get to the certainly get to the group stages. Obviously, we'll have a lot of more games there. Is that going to be the key? What Helen just said there, having 2 players for every position? Because last season, as we said, we were pretty lucky with injury. Well, lucky, whichever way you want to look at it. We didn't have as many injuries as teams around us last season, which meant we didn't need to rotate as much. But would you be looking at that as well? The fact we need maybe not numbers in depth, but more the quality in depth. Because every time we play the likes of Chelsea and these kinds of teams, we're all saying, oh, but look at their bench, look at who they can bring on. Yeah. Is that now the next step for us? Do you think that we need to get to that level and start signing players that improve the 11, drop the 11 down to the bench, and that's how you then improve?
Yeah, I think so. I think the difference is we mostly had played our best 11 all of the time, or what we think was our best 11. But hopefully we get through the qualifying game, wherever that might be, and you get through to the Champions League proper, the group stage, and you're playing more frequently a midweek game followed by a weekend game. And what you need is to be able to make changes and for the quality and the football that's being produced on the pitch to not decrease in quality. So you see that, don't you, with Chelsea in particular this year, and Arsenal when they're at full strength, they can make not wholesale changes, but pretty big changes. There'll be certain players, I think, that will always play because they're so important, even for those 2 teams. But they can make fairly big changes and it doesn't impact the quality of what's happening on the pitch. And I think we're still in a situation now where we've got a really strong, maybe 13, 14 players, but I think we need a little bit more than that in some areas, yes.
Yeah, and Helen, same question to yourself, really, because I think, Joe's saying there, I think we're all in agreement saying we need a striker and a number 2 goalkeeper should be the priorities, especially if 2 of the goalkeepers leave as well. Cav is saying here, United need a striker on the most serious note. Do you think it's a bit more about depth? Obviously, we're talking there about a striker, which obviously is filling a hole that has been left by Russo. Do you think we need to be aiming at that Chelsea? I mean, because there's an interesting point right at the start before we went live. I wasn't really going to touch on this because I don't know enough about it, but the quotes that have obviously come out earlier on today, and Highland saying the irony of having this limit-free dream transfer discussion on the day that one of the United higher-ups comes out demanding more restrictions on transfers in the game. If anyone has, it's in the quotes. They're out there. Every British journalist has pretty much put them out there. I'd suggest reading the full article though on it rather than just individual quotes is probably what I would say on it. But how do you kind of look at it from a United point of view this summer? Do you think we need to be looking at areas where we've got players in the positions, but adding the quality, as we said, they become the starter, and our last season starter then drops to the bench?
Yeah, definitely. Although I don't think it's going to be possible just yet for United, because it's taken Chelsea up until the last couple of seasons to have that. So unfortunately, we almost don't have time. We need to be at that level sooner than perhaps we can. And yeah, just about what will attract the players. And you're probably not going to sign players and just say you're going to be backup, you're going to be number 2. They're not going to want that. They're going to want to start. So although I think the extra competition of Champions League will give them more sway, saying you will start because we've got this many games. I think it's tricky to attract players to the club, sort of in general, and the quality we need.
Yeah, I mean, again, we are going to get to our Dream 11 in a second, but it's kind of a conversation I just literally just thought of as you were saying that there. I mean, do you think United are a big attractive club at the moment? We always sit here as United fans, and we're always going to say yes. We always want to think that every player wants to join us, and and everything else, and we're the biggest and best team and so on. But the fact maybe that we don't have that Champions League stability, I call it stability because we haven't. Just like Chelsea, for example, they know that they can go to a player saying, well, we're going to be in the Champions League every year because they are going to make that at least the top 2 every single year. Do you think maybe, like Helen said, it's taken Chelsea a few years to get to this point, that they're able to have the quality that they have got, that United, maybe it's going to take a couple of years of getting in the top 3 consistently to be able to build like that? Or do you think this summer it's possible for United to push on and make a squad like that?
I think it should be possible. I mean, you see clubs around us. So City, I know City have well, I say previous made the Champions League the last few seasons. They've not, have they? They've got as far as the position that we're in now, and yet this summer have managed to sign Bunny Shaw on for quite a lengthy contract extension. Villa getting Rachel Daly shows that those big players can be signed up with the sort of right sort of offer and the right promises of what's going to happen. I would think they should be. I would think players are probably looking at United and thinking they're still a bit of a work in progress. But we were right in amongst it this season. So I think if you look at our season as a whole, I think the points tally that we got this year in lots of previous seasons that would have won the league. Like Chelsea had to do something really special. So we are there. And I think there's probably players looking there and thinking they could come here and start. And I don't think that's necessarily a negative thing. There is opportunities and there are gaps there for players to come in and make a name for themselves and really push on as well. So I would say we are. I don't think the takeover is a massive issue, not in the women's side of things. I think even though transfer fees and wages are going up, some of them extortionately, but generally they're just going up steadily. There's no reason that United can't compete with those sorts of offers. But they've just got to go for it. I think they've got to commit. I think they've just got to be really cutthroat about who they want to keep and the players they're after, and really, really go for them. Don't be tentative about it. Just sell the project. Look, this is how far we've come in 5 years. We're going to qualify for the Champions League. This is the plan. And you sell that to players, don't you? You sell it to them. We've got the best facilities in the WSL when we're talking about match day stadiums. Okay, we get the best crowds. There's loads of selling points there. So I think there's no reason for us not to be able to compete for bigger names, not across the board, but there's no reason that we can't be in the conversation, definitely.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I mean, there's obviously Carolyn's been mentioned in the chat already. I had a feeling she would be. That's the most predominant name on Twitter at the moment that seems to be floating around. This comment here saying she's probably one of the best players in the world right now. She's not going to sit on the bench. I think with the striker, it's easier for us to offer because whoever comes in is going to be started next season. I think every other position that we sign, there's an argument maybe that someone else could be starting. I think whichever striker we sign, we can go to and say, well, you're starting. And that's a good and bad thing because clubs know that we're after a striker, so they're going to up the price on everybody because they know that we need one. So I think there's good and bad to that. From the players' point of view, we know that they'll be starting. But from the club's point of view, every club we go to, because they know that we're going to be in need of one. Certainly if this drags on towards, after the World Cup, the more desperate potentially we get, clubs are going to put a premium on that. But I think the money is there. The fact that we're linked with these players, the money is clearly available.
What's the Connor, you'd love this. What's the Miedemar situation at the end of this season? What was the contract extension she signed?
Hadn't she got another year?
She got another year. Because I'm potentially looking at the Arsenal situation now. Some of those Arsenal players, like if it's true, they've potentially blown their wage structure out the water, haven't they?
We're going to get Blackstenius.
Well, yeah, not the best player. But if you're looking at, you're like a Miedemar who's got a year left. I think Williamson only signed a year's contract extension. You're looking at that and you're going, 500,000 a year. She's not even the best player here, mate. I want that. So you might find there's a little bit, not necessarily with Williamson, because I think she's always going to be a gooner, but you might find with some players there. I've got a couple of those players on my list.
I was going to say I've not.
Find there's a little bit of wiggle room there.
I didn't think of Miedemar, but now you say, I'm pretty sure you might be right. And TJ's agreeing. I thought maybe she is. Maybe
I thought she signed a year extension last season. Is what I thought happened. There and Williamson.
Maybe I'm going off things that I've been told privately that she's staying. I'm not sure, but I mean, I didn't.
She won't be staying to be second fiddle, though, will she? Or third fiddle. Interesting what's going to happen at Arsenal, I think.
This Dream 11 has just changed a little bit for me because now I'm thinking maybe in my realistic 11, I'm not too sure. Here we go. There was a comment a bit further. I just wanted to quickly get to before we move on. Talk about how realistic are these two. Obviously, that came out this morning from Catherine. These rumours. Are these just rumours, or do United have the budget? I think it's a bit of both. I think United definitely have the budget in regards to, I'm going to butcher the name, I'm sorry, someone who is au fait with that. How do you say it? I'm going to say Giese, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong. Giese Ferreira. I'm going to go with it. Oh, Giese, there we go. Thank you. That's why Helen's here. Correct me on my pronunciation.
I'm not Brazilian, but...
We'll go with that. Ferreira. Anyway, I think that's definitely much harder. But... something just fell off my desk. I don't know what that was. But there we are. I'll look at that in a bit. Yeah, I think that's probably going to be a bit harder, but not impossible. And I think that's the key. We're in the mix, so I think that's the key. Yeah, TJ, so have I. That's why I'm confused, because every person I speak to says it differently. I just went with the one that I've heard the most, but I'll go with Helen's one from now on. Right. Let me share my screen. Let's get the squad builder together. If I can find the right tab, I don't want to be sharing the tab. It's not. There we go. I've put 4-2-3-1 just purely because that is the system that we usually see us play in. Maybe with that 6 or 7 a bit higher up, and just the one sitting. So I might change it to a 4-3-3. Actually, why not? Let's just go with that. But you two might blow this out of the water and pick 3 defenders, 5 defenders, or however many in your Dream 11. So what we're going to do, we're going to go through an 11 of Dream players. Like I said, a lot of these, it's in the name, Dream, Delusion, however you want to call it, because I'm pretty sure most of the players that we pick on this list, we're very confident are not joining out this summer or in any summer, I can imagine. Certainly one of mine. I don't think he's ever going to leave the club that she is at. So let's start at the back then. So just very quickly, if you are just joining, because I've just seen the numbers shoot up. So we're going to pick a Dream 11 now, and then we're going to try and put current United players into our Dream 11 and build our United super team, so to speak. Get in the comments, get your dream signing in. We're going to go through position by position. So get your suggestions in as well, because you're going to have influence over this as well if you pick a name that we've not thought of and we like as well. So it's an open question for each of you. Let's go for goalkeeper first. Obviously, when we come to put our United players in, obviously we've got Earps at the moment, but if you had to sign somebody else in goalkeeper, plenty of good keepers in Europe, a few in the States as well. What goalkeeper have each of you gone for?
I'm stuck between German starting keeper, so number 1 keeper, is it Froms, Frohms, and I think it's Sheridan that's the starting keeper for San Diego Wave. I've gone either one of those two. Now, to be honest, I probably would still go Mary Earps anyway. Even if you said you can have any goalkeeper, I'd still go her, I think. But because I had to think of another one, I went one of those two probably.
For you, Helen, what names have you got?
I had Froms, Misa Rodriguez from Real Madrid, and of course, Tiani Endler.
I was going to say, there's a lot of shouts for Endler in the chat.
Although she's not had the best season, just gone, but we'll blame her defensive line. But
yeah, I was going to say, I don't know whether that's all down to her. I think so. I actually went for the opposite. I went for another German keeper, but I didn't go. I went for two German keepers, both of them. That obviously Leipzig, I just think is phenomenal. I think she's going to be one of the best keepers out there. Obviously, chat with a move to Leicester, also with interest from United as well. But I actually went for the Bayern keeper. Again, I'm going to put Maria Gross. I'm going to say it, something like that anyway. But I think her as well. Another German keeper, and Katrin Berger as well. Maybe. I think when you're looking at Dream though. So TJ, to answer your question, are we voting on pass? But literally, as of today, if you're building a super team, if you will, who are you picking as your keeper? I think is what we're going for there. So there we go. Agreeing with me. So what names have we whittled down to this? Well, we've got 3 or 4 names there. Who are we putting in? I'll put 2 in if we need to, because I'm pretty sure when we come to put Earps in potentially, I think I would put Earps in over the ones that I've chosen. So I'm not too sure. Goalkeeper's a tough one because it's like
all the German keepers, they've all been mentioned.
Literally all of them. Well, they've got about 5 or 6 world-class keepers. That's the problem. I mean, Don's not fully agreeing with the Bayern keeper's a good shot stopper, but mid everything else. Potentially.
She's not Germany's number 1, is she? The Bayern keeper.
No.
It's Wolfsburg, Franz, isn't it?
Barry's saying Emily Ramsey. Not in a dream one.
No
chance. So I think on this one, it's probably between Franz and Endler, isn't it?
I'm happy with either.
I think so. I think it's got to be one of those two. I might just put both in. I'm on the wrong tab. Bear with this. You're going to see a lot of this flicking between the multiple tabs. So what I'll do, I'll put both in. Wish my keyboard stop. There we go. So I'll put both those in there for now. We'll come back to it, like I said, when we get to putting some United players in. As I said, Chris, number 1 in the world. We've not put the United players in there yet. Right back then, I have a feeling this is going to be a bit easier because I don't know about you two, but I've gone for the one that's literally just left.
Yes. Yes.
Who else could it be?
I was thinking of right backs, and I was like, there's nobody that at the moment that compares to Ashley Lawrence. Is maybe another one that I think.
Ellie Carpenter.
That's another one actually that could get there. Every single person in the chat has gone for Honor. I think when you're looking at dream signings, I think we all wanted to keep Honor at the time. I don't think there's a debate at right back. I think I'm just going to put her in because I just think when you're looking at that position, Ellie Carpenter, as you just said there. I think Carpenter, Lawrence are probably the only 2 I think are close. If you're looking at dream signings anyway, for me on that one. So I'll leave Honor in there for now. Oh, Raven's coming with a name. I don't know much about her, I've got to be honest, unless either of you two do. No. I can't comment on that one, unfortunately, Raven.
I did put Julia Gwynn.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Just coming back from an injury, am I right?
Yeah.
So potentially there. Shout for bronze. I'm not feeling it,
Just past it.
There's a reason they're signing Honor. Put it that way. I do like Lucy Bronze, but I don't think not now. I think 2-3 years ago maybe. But no, not in a as of today. I wouldn't be going out there and signing her. Jade Riviere potentially as well. When we come to put our United girls in. Maybe. Bronze had a poor season. Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Centre backs then. There are so many. I put down 7 and then I had to whittle it down to 2 because there's a few to put in.
I found this really tough. So I took the approach to making these selections that I took a restaurant. So a restaurant, I'll make my decision and then hand the menu to someone else. Because otherwise, I get like food envy, keep changing my mind. So I just went instinctively with who I thought of first, and they're the two that I've stuck with. But I think you two might make me regret it. But we'll see. Just want one centre back or two? Oh, you're muted.
I don't know why. Yeah, who have you gone for as your pair? Or have you not whittled it down to two yet?
Rob's going to love this. I've gone for Millie Bright because
as well.
She's the most annoying defender when we play them. If she wasn't there over the years, we would have had more success. I do believe that. And then I've also gone for Mappy Leon from Barcelona. So they're my two.
I was going to say,
I think Millie Bright does the dirty work, heads everything away, gets everything away. I think Leon is more technically gifted, good set piece taker as well, really good positional sense. So I've gone to those two. If it was 3 or 4 years ago, I might have gone Wendy Renard, but I've gone for longevity. Hello, Kat. I've gone for a bit more longevity. I want a few years out of them still, my centre backs.
That's the new centre half.
Yeah.
Just walked across the screen. Yeah, I mean, Don's agreeing with you there, saying Leon and Bright. Bright is one of mine. I've gone for another one on the other side. But Helen, who have you gone for your two there?
Irina Paredes.
Oh, yes.
And Gui Jumbok. Although
you're gonna have to give us a bit of background on on that last
choosing
one.
Injured players. I think her full name is Gui Jumbok Bati. I think she did an ACL. Might be wrong with that. Usually starting in the French defence with Wendy Renard. Plays for Lyon, I think.
Yes, you're going for your injured players. You are building up an injured.
They're fresh. They're fully healed, fresh, ready to go in.
Well, you've literally just answered that one. But ages catching up to Brett. Yeah, I mean that's the thing with these, I guess, dream ones. It's tough in it because some of the players I've picked, I'm like, they are borderline of like being not past it, but they're getting to the point that you wouldn't really take the risk on the wage.
Yeah.
The other, so I obviously went for Bright as well, but again, everyone knows how good she is, how annoying she is, and everything else. But I think I went for the departing Arsenal player, Rafael de Souza, because I just think it's to me she's a better defender than Williamson, but Williamson gets applauded for being Lioness's captain and everything else. But I just think.
But
those two together.
Raffaele is a bit older, isn't she?
That's the thing. She's 32. You probably wouldn't take the risk on signing her now. So it's like
we all know we're going to put Mayer in the end anyway. So
that's the thing. 100%. In mine, I've put Letitia in, regardless of who is in this anyway. This name's come up a couple of times.
She's good.
So there's another shout there. Nobody's mentioned. I can't remember her name. It begins with V. Plays for Bayern Munich.
Films?
No. It's a Scandi name. It's going to bug me now.
Or something?
Glodis Vigastossia from Bayern Munich. Yeah, there you go. Got it. For me, she would be another one as well, potentially over Rafa, actually. So maybe I'd go her instead of Rafa.
Have we got so one all agreed on? Did we all agree on? I don't know if Helen. I don't know if you said Bright. You didn't, did you?
I did, but I just didn't want to. I was resisting.
Yeah, so pop her in because we've all said her.
So I think so Bright go on the right or the left. Not that it's going to matter too much, but
left.
I don't know.
Oh,
does she play right side?
She plays right, doesn't she? Yeah, I'll put
right.
Right.
Right, I'm right.
So yeah, we need a left-sided. Who's starting left? It could.
She's left-footed anyway.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If we're looking at balance, if we're building our little, going back to the whole balance thing, Mappy Leon on the left, as Don's saying, left-sided, as you just said, left foot as well. That would work. Oh, I really want to get. She would be in mine, put it that way, but I don't think she's going to make this one. Off the base, Mappy's. I think judging by the comments, I think everyone's in agreement. So I think Mappy on that left hand side. We'll go with that. As I said, it might not matter when we go to put the United players in, although she might stay. To be fair, yeah. Left back then. This was a difficult one actually because I couldn't think of that many like elite level left backs. I don't know whether that's just me or not.
Come on.
Oh, go on.
Come on. Right. This is my. If some of my friends other friends that I stand next to at football hear me say this one, they'll be giving me absolute grief. But this was one of the first names that I wrote down, and it was Katie McCabe.
Yeah,
I put McCabe down. Look at Helen's face. The reason is there's loads of reasons actually. It's how prolific she's been as a goal scorer and an assister. And in my head, I was thinking, well, that would make up the numbers for Honor being gone from a Man United point of view. I also think she's an incredible leader. Like my brother's an Arsenal fan, so I've probably heard and seen more of Arsenal than I would like to this year. But she's really taken responsibility for them this year. And she also, unlike others, wasn't distracted by potential big money moves in January. Like she carried that team. I was at the Champions League semi-final and she was absolutely outstanding. Like she was out of this world. And again, I know football's a team game, but I think a lot of the Republic of Ireland getting through to their first World Cup, a lot of that is down to her as well. They were always just waiting for a little bit of magic from her. So I just think from a mentality point of view, as well as an actual talent point of view, I went for her. Because there are loads of others, but I was just trying to look at everything. And I always think about what are we missing? By we, I mean Man United. I mean, what are the extra things we need that we maybe haven't got? And I think an absolute beast is one of them.
Her fitness is something to admire as well. She doesn't, like in that Champions League game at the Emirates, she was going into extra time. She was still tearing up and down, getting back, trying to push the team forward. So fair shot.
Did you go for her, Helen, or
did you go for somebody else? Selma Batcher was my one.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Somebody's just you're along with TJ there on that one.
And Fridolina Rolfer. Although, does she always play left back? I feel like she plays the other forwards. But
she's played left back a lot recently, I think, just to fit her in, hasn't she, for Barca?
Yeah, that'll do.
See.
I would be convinced. I would like say no to McCabe. I would go for Selma Batcher from Lyon. I would have my head easily turned. I can easily be convinced by that.
Card Chowie as well.
Yeah.
I seem to like the French players. I don't know why.
Melly's just changed my mind. Maybe it's because of speaking to the people I do. I spend a lot of time watching Bayern, and in particular, but Simon is unbelievable fullback. And I think she would start at United, that's for sure. I just think when we're looking at left backs, obviously Selma, I think when you're looking at quality, she's pretty, isn't she only 22 as well?
Yeah, she's young.
So when you're looking at her, obviously if you're looking at longevity, I might have to put 2 for this one because I don't think I'm willing to budge on putting Simon.
She offers a lot going forwards as well. The Leon fullback. Really quick.
Let's put her in as well. I might put 2 for this one though, because I think there's another couple of names going in.
I've changed my mind. Helen's convinced me.
Another name there as well. PSG is just a bad environment, I think.
Yeah.
A lot would agree with that one as well.
Yeah.
What I'm getting at here is that there's a lot of quality in the French and German league.
We need to be infiltrating that German league. That's where United need to be.
I genuinely don't know why we don't.
Portuguese league. Got to get stuck in.
It baffles me that we do not sign more players from Germany. It annoys me. We'll get to this when we talk about some of the players that I want, that I think are more realistic. But it's it's annoying. I will put /Simon because I kind of want to. I can't believe I didn't write her down initially. I went for McCabe. Purely, we see her obviously more regularly. best 2 right backs in Germany are now at Bayern. Tuva Hansen actually is another player on the right hand side. You know, if you're putting a Bayern Munich right back, I'll change it now to left backs. I'm trying to think. I don't even think I've got any more. But I know I have. I've got a Bayern Munich player, another one in my forward line. So come back to that in a second. But that is a good point. What Hansen's saying, it is harder to get the German players to leave Germany compared to, you know, the English players do move. Obviously, we've seen Stanway go to Germany. The English and Walsh obviously moved, Bronze and so on. These players do move about, whereas in Germany it is common. They just stay between the 2 biggest clubs in Germany. I don't disagree with that, to be honest. I think when you're looking at left backs in particular, you know, probably have got 2 of the best. Obviously, won the league as well, so can't be that bad. Midfield 3, then this is where mine gets a bit
all 3.
Like it doesn't really work. Like as a balance of 3, it I mean, it kind of does, but it kind of doesn't. We'll start with players. Have you all gone for a 6-8-10 type position, or have you gone for 3 players in midfield?
I think I've gone 4-4-2, but again, I'm happy to stick with this. I'll work around it. Like you did in your team of the season, I'll just shoehorn people in anywhere.
So if we go for the 6, then, if that's kind of what we're going for, 6 or 6/7, what should we just start throwing midfielder names into those positions and see? Have we all said Oberdorf? Just out of interest.
Yeah.
Okay, I will put her in at 6 then, because everyone in the comments is saying Oberdorf as well. Just gone for a Spanish midfield on us. But let's put her in straight away. So I had a feeling that was going to be the consensus. Again, completely unrealistic, but we'll go with that. The other 2 positions, obviously, talking about Patry, they're insane footballer. Bonmati, Alexia.
I went Bonmati. Best player in the world at the moment, I think. That's what I went for. Not as the 6, obviously.
This is going to be really tough. I feel like we're picking like a best 11 and someone's going to miss out and be really disappointed. But like Bonmati or Alexia, could you get them both in? I haven't chosen Bonmati, I've got to be honest.
I have. Unreal. How have you not?
You'll see why. But it was between her and Alexia for me. And I just went for Alexia purely because, you know, I'm not saying that I don't think she's been better. Well, obviously, with the injury and so on. But Bonmati at the moment would be a better signing. But for me, I prefer Alexia as a footballer. So I would put her in over her.
I'm just looking. Bonmati, obviously, apart from being absolutely world class and probably the best player in the world this year over the course of a footballing year, and didn't get the award, unfortunately. I was looking at it similar to McCabe. So if you take Proteus out of a side, it will have some sort of an impact. But she has basically filled that hole, like her output as well. I think it's something like 20 goals and assists in the league and 13, 14 in the Champions League. For me, just best footballer. I would give her all of the money. I would play with just her and Mary Earps and no one else. It meant we could get her. I'd play 2v11 and I would still back us every time. Yeah, I think for me, she's like a must. I think.
I was just about
not being a dictator. If you 2 both say no, that's fine. Majority.
No, I was just going to ask the question: is there anyone else like outside? Because I think everyone's going to say Alexia. Everyone's going to say Bonmati. Obviously, Don's pretty confident with Patry as well, saying how it's over. It's a tough one. It really is. I'm not saying I'll leave. That's an opinion game, really. But what I was going to ask: is there anyone outside of the big names that you feel would be a dream signing? Obviously, it's tough when we're talking about dream. When we get to realistic, obviously, there'll be more names that come up. But Sarah's saying Crystal Dunn, another good shout there.
Yeah.
Joe's backing that one up. Is there any other name? I actually, in my 3, because I feel like she can play not as an 8, more of a 10. But I actually put Harder in the midfield in the 3. But I just rate her that high. And I think if you have 2 very, very good midfielders behind, Oberdorf one of them, and somebody else, and Harder further forward, for me that would work. But is there anyone else outside of the Bonmati Alexia conversation?
What would you say is Lena Magul's best position?
If that Melly who's in the chat, who I think it is, they'll be best placed to answer that because I'm pretty sure they're a Bayern fan. So if that's who I think it is in the comments, Melly, ask. That's a question more for you in terms of where McGall's back, because that was another name I'd thought of.
Yeah.
Because it's like it is. I'm glad. Evening. Stanway's another one.
Yeah.
She's had a fantastic season for Bayern. Kira Walsh. I didn't even think of her.
I said Lindsay Horan.
Oh yes, that's a shout as well.
Maybe controversially.
Let's go 4-5-1. Hack that midfield.
How are we going to do this? Oh dear! Now you're changing my mind here. There's so many names.
Is Magul like a 10? Not our 10 there. Isn't she like a 10? Like she'd be your furthest forward of your three. Yeah. So she'd be your furthest forward of your three.
Zadrazil's a really good player as well, alongside Stanway. I think if you look, she again, completely unrealistic. She is not leaving Bayern, but T just go for another one. It's
Rose Lavelle.
No.
There's so many names we could put into this midfield. I think this is the thing when we're talking about dream signing. Sarah's saying Bonmati's still the best. I think she is. Ability-wise, yeah, I think, yes, she is still the best on this list. That's another good shout as well. Linda Dahlman.
Yeah.
I think she probably, again, as T said, probably doesn't make this list, but certainly one to mention. And yeah, a 10, but not like a typical 10. So.
Yeah.
But Jennifer said, I've brought this comment up, I didn't really mention it at the time. Erin Cuthbert's another one. When you're talking about WSL players, for me, she makes it seems like every single season she makes the WSL 11. I think there's a reason for that.
Yeah, would you need her and Oberdorf? Would you just have one of them though?
Well, that's the same with Walsh, isn't it? You wouldn't necessarily need Walsh and Oberdorf in there. So I think if we're talking about Walsh, Oberdorf, Patry, it's one of those three in that 6. Then it's Bonmati. Somebody else.
Bonmati in.
I think she's got to go in.
What do you mean as a 7?
Yeah.
With a free roll to do what she does. Roam around.
Put her in there. Cuthbert, Oberdorf, Stanway. That's another good midfield.
Are Cuthbert and Stanway a bit too similar?
I think they can both. I don't think there's anything that Bonmati can't do that they like. I don't think there's any qualities they have that Bonmati doesn't.
Stanway's also injuring all of these in training. We can't take that risk.
Or getting suspended.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I did have Sid. Well done. I had Sydney Lolan as well.
Yeah.
More of a winger though.
Possibly. So it's harder.
Who are we thinking potentially for that 8, but stroke it's probably closer to being like a 10 type position? Who's in the running there? So Alexa.
I think Pateas has got to be in there. I think Harder's got to be in that conversation.
Then we pop McGull in the chat as well. We could ask everyone, pop a poll in. Connor.
Yeah, I think McGall's got to be in that conversation. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else in the. I'm trying to think of WSL who Miedemar can play 10. Well, she's likely to play 10 next season.
A fully fit Kirby.
Frida Marnham.
Nah, no, we don't want any of those. The three we've just mentioned.
I'm trying to think if there's anyone else in that position that.
Where does a young? What about a more youthful? Is Amadine Henry? Is she further? She plays further back.
Further back, I think it's.
She's a bit old now, isn't she? She's a bit over the hill.
Sarah said Jill Raw.
Oh, she's a red as well. She's a red, Sarah. Yeah.
I mean, there's a question. I'd say McCabe would, to be honest. I feel like she gets one just every game just for being on the pitch after. So,
The Caves ones are more silly and avoidable.
yeah.
Whereas-
Oh, yeah, they are funny though, aren't they? Like that one where she threw the ball at Chloe Kelly's head.
It's a name we've not. Alex Morgan's a name we've not seen yet.
Too old.
Too old.
This is going to be really tough when we pick just one striker as well. I have a feeling we might have to put two because
That's why I went 4-4-2.
because there's too many
Okay.
strikers. But is it a dream 11 or a dream signs if we don't have Pateas in there? I don't know.
I'm not fussed about Pateas. Look how well they did without him.
Well,
Bastard.
that's a fair argument. Pop is technically meant to be a midfielder. If we're dropping her back into midfield, she was actually my starting striker. So this is really hard. Is there any player that I think? I'm trying to think if we can fill any of these other positions in. So have we all gone for the same left wing, or have we got a couple of names for the wing for the wing positions? I think it's pretty obvious who mine's going to be. I've just gone Norwegian on both sides.
You've got Brighton, haven't you? Brighton and
Graham Hansen.
Yeah. It depends how strict we're being. So, do people think that Sophia Smith can play?
That was another name, yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I've got two strikers. So, do people think that Sophia Smith could play as? I'm pointing at the screen like you can all see. Like, so I don't mean these are actual positions, but the numbers that you can all see on the screen. Do you think she can play as where the 9 or the 10 is, which will allow me to bring Clara Buell in?
Melly's with you.
There's an up and coming. She's also one of my maybe realistics, but that might be pathetic. I want Sophia Smith in there. Are we going to come back to this number 8 later?
Well, I don't know who we're going to put in. I think Clara Buell is such a good shout. It's Sophia. I mean, Helen, who have you got? Just out of interest.
Sophia Smith, Ava Pyor,
As well.
Katoto, Diani, and JC, actually.
And who was the last one? Who was the last one, Helen?
JC.
Oh, yeah.
Our new favourite.
Yeah, I've gone Sophia Smith and Bull. Do you know what, though? I don't want to say this now because one of my friends has just WhatsApped me a minute ago for saying Katie McCabe for daring to say an Arsenal player. But if it was Euros form, I would put in an argument for Mead as well. But maybe we can't because she's out injured, isn't she? I reckon Sophia Smith as one of the front 3. Like, she's doing incredible numbers.
I think, if you're looking at from that, I think she's got to be a striker though. If we're going at striker, I don't like this one striker because there's no way we can leave out.
Let's just do a Mark Skinner fluid front 3. We can pop them in, and then they can all float around. They can all have a free roll.
There's some real good names going in the chat here. So Sarah's obviously gone Carolina. She's in my realistic 11 because that is very much realistic. Morgan Weaver's another one.
Yeah.
There was a comment a bit further up. Obviously, that's back to Branda Wrighton, Lynn Williams. Names there as well. Bryson and Kelly. For me, Smith can play anywhere up front.
She can play. Let's pop Smith at 10. Come on, let's stop messing about. Let's pop Smith at 10. Connor will cry if Wrighton's not where that number 9 is.
But do you know another player that I had in mind? Just commented there. Hegerberg as well. I didn't want to go for a full Norway front 3 though, because we saw how it worked last
She's
summer.
always injured.
Well, that's the one thing that put me off, and maybe putting Pop up front instead, because I feel like she's just always injured.
I did put Sam Kerr as well.
Yeah.
And her as well. Yeah. Oh,
The bane of our
TJ,
lives.
Helen just asked. I mean, TJ saying there, obviously the new Chelsea signing as well. Again, insane footballer, but wouldn't make my dream signings anyway. I don't think she'd make mine.
Not this time. I would. I've got a front. I've got Sophia Smith, Clara Buell, and Katoto.
Katoto's another good shout as well.
It'll be incredible scenes when we buy her on transfer deadline day. You heard it here first, folks.
No Chelsea players here. Well, I'm not going to stop my Brighton agenda on the left-hand side. So, if we sign her, she's no longer be at Chelsea. Yeah, I mean, Smith has to be in, doesn't she? I think she's got to be. It's whether are we putting her at 11 or 10?
Well, let's pop her at 10 for now, and then we can decide if we think there's a better striker.
So, yeah, she has to be in there. Raven's a bit, with me talking about Graham Hansen. She would be on mine for sure.
Hansen,
really good player up front. Talking about Rachel Daly. That's more of a. Well, it's not really realistic, but I think
it could be if we went in with the right amount of money. We could offer them Kirsty Hansen and a bit of Dosh.
So maybe she falls under the next bit when we talk about realistic ones potentially. Yeah, Amy's with me as well. Graham Hansen.
Well, is loads of people calling for Hansen?
I've not seen loads. I've only seen 2 or 3 that agree with me on Hansen.
Because you could put her on the right and put Sophia Smith as the 11.
But
I'm
then
not
we
really
leave in.
Pleased about these shirt numbers really for these front 3.
I know. I don't know why it does it like that. But if we're putting Smith at 11, does that mean we're leaving out like Pop, Pior, Katoto, and so on?
Well, yes, unless you want 4 strikers, which you're allowed to have. If you can put up an argument for it, a Gunko formation.
High press.
Yeah.
Brawl Smith.
That's a shout, that is.
Bull over Brighton.
I would go Brighton any day, but Brighton, Smith, Graham Hansen. That seems to be the way the conversation's going.
Yeah.
I'd go with that.
Number 11, Pop or Daly. Yeah, I think Smith is 11. Yeah, for me, Smith's got to be down the middle.
Okay, pop her there. You can put your mate Wrighton in. He's so desperate. Every 30 seconds he mentions it. Pop her in. We're all friends here.
So if we go that and that, so we've got 2 players. I think that 8 we need to push further up into like more of a 10.
Yeah.
And then that would give us a bit more flexibility as to who goes there. So if you went like more, in fact, let me just change the. And go more like that. Or hang about.
Ooh,
no. let's go more like that. Let's float her a bit further forward. There we go. So more shouts for Alexia. I think so. We've got a right winger, like a right-sided attacker, and a central attacker to pick out of the whole list of names that we've been given. So what names have we got then? Let's rule this down. Let's try and pin this down to about 6 names for 2 positions. Pateas. I put harder, but I'm willing to budge on that one if nobody else, because nobody in the chat said her either, so I'm willing to budge on that one. Graham Hansen. Who else is people? Who else did you go for?
Katoto. I don't know where she can go though.
Clara Brawl obviously is the other one that you went for.
Ava Pyle. I don't know if she'd.
Pyle, yeah.
Or Caroline Graham Hansen, did we talk about as where the 9 is?
Yeah, I think she'd be off the right, wouldn't she?
The best one for that, yeah.
Lena McGill could play that 10, if you're going back to her.
Yeah.
Not
the only issue I've got is that I've put, you won't be able to see it from there, but I've put Katoto's name and then I've put 6 little stars around it. 6.
There's a lot of Thompson on the right now.
Thomas. Oh, I thought you said Thomas. I was like, Mark Thomas. That's left field. Sarah, crikey, calm down.
She's going up in the world.
Oh, that's a name that we've not said either. Caroline Weir.
Nah.
Oh, see.
One trick pony.
Now, see, for me, she'd go in if we didn't have Bob Matty and Overdorf already in there. But
she's not better than either of those. Yeah.
Amy's saying there 10 has got to be Pateas or Weir. No. No, sorry, Jennifer, absolutely no chance. She's getting near no dream or realistic or any United team anymore. Yeah, so it's between those, isn't it? Graham Hansen, Mateas, Pyle, Clara. Oh, Pop, potentially, if you're putting her at 10. Is there anyone else? If Fran Kirby was fully fit and, as of now was, at her peak, 100% she'd be my shout for 10. But as she is at the moment, I just don't think you could put her in there. As I said, Sam Kerr could play that 10 if you really wanted her to. Obviously, Harder can play there. The two players that we're currently linked to in the transfer market at the moment, Carolyn and could sneak Carolyn in there, but like I said, that's more for the realistic one.
How do you say the other one again, Connor?
Helen, how do you say the other one?
You avoided saying it.
Oh yeah, I'm going to pass every time.
What do you reckon for 9? Are we going Norwegian 9?
I think
Not the Norway version, the Barcelona version.
I think it's got to be. A couple of names there.
What, you meant Ellen White for a second?
When I read that,
Hang on.
I mean, we might be getting really desperate, Helen, by August. You never know.
Start the crash.
Yeah. Carolyn over Ryan, that's a big shout. After the season Ryan's just had.
Yeah, but she's also Brighton's going to be applying for a free bus pass soon, isn't she? As well, she's another one, isn't she? Where she's older than you think she is.
She's late 20s, 27, 28, I think.
No,
so in her prime now. I'm sure she is. You got me googling this now. Unless she's older than that, and I'm
28.
Oh, she's 28. Yeah, I thought she was 30. She's not over the hill then.
Yeah, for me, it's got to be Graham Hansen on that right. It's a familiar looking right hand side though. That it's basically a Barcelona right hand side. That on Bon Matti and
yeah, but they are the best team in the world, aren't they? So
right, executive decision. Graham Hansen on the right. So it's just on 10. There's a lot of I think it's going to have to be Pateas just purely because there's just so many shouts for in the chat. If we're going off a majority. I don't think too many would complain with that. When you're looking at Dreamer, no. I've seen this name come up a few times. I'm sorry. No, when you're talking about bus passes,
do you remember when she won the Player of the Year and she'd played like 5 games or something? Do you remember that? That was insane.
She called it out, to be fair, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. Yeah. So number 10. So we're going Pateas or?
I think we have to, purely just based off the comments. Albeit, this is so opinion based because it's whoever your favourite players are. Like I said, mine would be harder over Pateas, not because I think she's a better player. I just like her as a player more than I like watching Pateas. It's your preference, isn't it? So it's always we're going to upset whoever we put in is going to upset somebody. But I just think the majority seems to be saying her. So I think we have to put her in that position. But I think with the amount of names we've said, there's nobody that we've missed off. I mean, James is saying that midfield will be run over. I mean, who would you change then? Just out of interest, who would you put in that? Van der Donk, another one not been mentioned. Again, really good player. I'm just waiting to see what James says now. That midfield will be run over. I'm just intrigued to know who you'd put in instead. Comment a double Patry and Oberdorf. So I'm assuming by that you're taking Bon Matti out. It's a tough one, isn't it?
Let's put Bon Matti as the 10.
Yeah, unless we went Bon Matti at 10 and made it more of a 4-3-3. So you went for Bon Matti and then put Patry alongside Oberdorf. That could work. In more of a traditional 4-3-3.
Yeah.
But would that be your dream signing, both of you? Would you say that is like your dream if you United link with midfielders? Is that who you go for?
Well, no.
Well, that's the thing. Anton's hit the nail on the head here. Does anyone actually dream of playing defense? I think that's the thing. We're talking about a dream 11 here. Like, for me, I'd be going 5 strikers and just whack everyone up front, which is why I went for Harder in the 10, and I think I went for Pateas and Oberdorf.
But Oberdorf is also like a massively progressive passer of the ball. She's also an enforcer, but she progresses the ball forwards a heck of a lot. So it's not like she's just a lump that just clatters everybody. The progressive passes, she's in like one of the top percentiles for that, I'm fairly certain.
Yeah, I mean, Sarah said, let's just copy and paste Barca. I mean, yeah, as Charlie said, they're the best team in the world for a reason.
Like, if you wanted to be more like stereotypically attacking, you could just take Oberdorf out and then you could pop in Jill Roord or someone, and then just do Fergie's last season in charge, which is we'll just score more goals than you. So we'll just win 4-3 all the time, or 5-4.
Yeah, I agree with Amy. I think Oberdorf is defensive enough to hold that midfield together. I think we could put anyone in that 10. I think it would. And look at that back line as well. You know, we've not spoken about it for a while, but that back line would hold anybody out, in my opinion. So, I think we're going to have to put Pateas on we and just leave it there and see what, because otherwise we will be here all night trying to put players in. I know that's going to upset some of you in the comments. I apologise. But we've had a good debate trying to think who to put in, that is for sure. Now comes the interesting part of this.
Who's the manager?
Well, that's another good shout. I've not even thought of that.
Who can keep them all happy?
Would anyone be able to keep all that happy? I don't know. I've not got a coach to mind.
I mean, if you're paying them $500,000 a year, whether they've earned it or not, then yes, I'm sure you can.
Who could that be?
I genuinely can't think of one off the top of my head that would manage that squad.
Serena Wiegman. There we go. Everyone's favourite.
Steph Horton.
Yeah, Steph Horton.
TJ's comment. I mean, it's a shout, yeah. And again, maybe, yeah. Melly, I'm surprised you didn't say Strauss. You know, being the Bayern coach and everything else. Is a good manager. Really off topic. I'm talking to you, Melly, in particular. Does Strauss, am I saying this right? He does his interviews in English. I'm sure he does. But I'm pretty sure he's not English, and obviously he's managing Bayern in Germany. But I'm sure he does his interviews in English whenever I've seen them on TV. Whether that's just because of the broadcast I watch it, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a fair shout. But when you're looking at coaches, yeah, Serena or Carla. Yeah, he does. Interesting. There we are. So the question is, how many United players get into this 11 that we've built? Looking at the 11 that we've built, obviously it's slightly different to the one I had. I think only one from me make that 11.
Only one of those 11 make that 11?
Only one current United player makes that 11 that we've
I was going to
built.
say, you've been really kind there, Connor. You just sort of rolled over. That's what I thought you were going to say.
No. Yes, good afternoon or evening to you, Mark. Currently over in Munich as well. I hope your holiday's going well. If I know two would get into this one for me.
Mary and Rachel.
I think for me, Mary would go in goal and Letitia would go in instead of Bright. I think they're the only two I think that would make this. Does anyone disagree with that? Or? I mean, Amy's saying
no.
Leah on the right instead of Brighton.
Yeah, that might be the only other one.
I mean, it's not, obviously we've got a lot of United fans watching with this being on United. This isn't a dig at the current United players because, we were saying backstage, if any team builds their Dream 11, we've got some opposition fans in the comments. Whenever you build a Dream 11, not all of your current players are going to make it because it's a Dream 11 for a reason. But I think only Letitia and Earps for me. I would like to see more United in there because it means we're one of the best teams in Europe or in the world, but we're not. As much as I like to think we are, we aren't. And I don't think. I don't think there's any other shouts, to be honest. You know, when you're looking at those positions, left back, I don't think Blundell is near those two. Honor, obviously, we've all said Honor is the best right back in the world. The midfield, it's not even close. Right winger, it's not close for me. Striker, we don't have one, so
we do have one.
Well,
Connie,
okay. What do you want to put Martha Thomas at
minutes per goal ratio? I bet not.
I'll let you have that.
No, but we were saying, weren't we, before that, like, even if, unless you were Barcelona or someone like that, the 95% of fans of other teams, if you were picking your dream 11, it might have none of your current team in, because you're literally cherry picking what you think are the best 11 players in the world, aren't you? It's basically what's happening. Well, almost the best 11.
Mark's not happy with me either.
Shocking, isn't it?
Well, you never know. We've got how many strikers do we actually have? 3 on the books when Leon comes back. Williams, Thomas, and Leon. Have we got anyone else? Have I missed anyone? Garcia can play there, can't she? But
yeah,
I wouldn't say she's a striker.
Is Ivana a striker or not really?
She hasn't really. She didn't play there for Leverkusen, from what I've seen. She's played kind of a bit further back, and she, but or an out wide as well. So I can't see Fuso being there. But, but I think we've been pretty fair there in the conversation we've had. Like I said, people are just joining and just in the team. Obviously, it looks like we've just copied and pasted Barcelona with a couple of other names in there, but
Germans
with a few Germans as well. Because again, I do know who you're talking about. Yeah, so there we go. I think it's a pretty good team.
These non-Barcelona players could get into the Barcelona team, though, I think.
Yes.
I think so. Everyone on that list, I think, would make a World 11 or a World 15, if you want to call it that, like with subs as well. And the players we've missed out would easily make those positions as well. Well, moving on to like, I'm conscious we've been going for an hour and 2-3 minutes already, and that's taken a lot longer than I thought it was going to go on that one. We're going to look at some. I don't know whether we're going to make an 11 out of this, because this is going to be harder with it being more realistic. So we're going to look at a realistic 11 if we can build one. I don't think we can personally. Well, we probably can, but whether they're United quality or not is another question. So it's in the name.
With this, can we keep? Is this where we can? Because realistic, we can just keep some of ours.
I think if we can't build an 11 of realistic targets, then yeah, I think we put current players in.
So Mary then, best GK in the world.
Did the players that are currently on loan coming back count as a new side?
Would you put Hansen in there? Would you? Is that it's the only lone player I can think of that would go.
Harry Jones.
Yeah. So if we go, obviously, who would stay? In fact, no. Let's go for the players that we'd want to sign that we think are realistic first, and then we'll fill in the gaps in and around that. Obviously, we know the names that we're currently linked to. I'm going to leave Helen to say the Barca players. But obviously, Carolyn we're linked to at the moment. Obviously, there's the Reading defender, Gemma Evans. Again,
do we have to do it in order? Do we have to do defenders next, or
let's just throw some names out there who we think is really? I mean, in reality, everyone is semi-realistic if you put enough money behind it.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about United as a club now, how we're seen, let's see who are realistic targets that you think United could obtain. If I throw a couple of names out there and get us started, somebody who you mentioned earlier, Charlie, that wasn't on my list, and now is Stina Blackstenius would be, because I think
Helen mentioned it, wasn't it?
Give her 6 months I think she'll be looking to move if Meadham are still around and they've got Marnham and Russo and Lacasse and all these other players that they've got. Mead coming back, Pullover and Ford, and whoever else that they need up there. I think Stina would potentially look to move, depending on how her season goes. So Stina's one. Maz Pacheco at left back, I think, is another one that's realistic that I think we could get at some point if we put the money behind it. That's another one I was going to mention. Lucy Parker, I think, is another one that is realistic.
She's centre back.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have her over. I wouldn't get her just be like. But
when we're talking about a realistic signing, would you sign her as if Tunkara is to go? Would that be a
Nah. If we had a fit Mannion, she was staying. Then no, I don't think so.
So what? You'd only have Mannion, Turner, Letitia,
Thor
as your 4 centre halves.
We've got Hayley Ladd.
I'd take Lucy Parker as the 4th one if Tunkara's going.
I wouldn't take her if it took substantial money out of the funds that we've got available.
Oh, that's a shout I didn't think of.
1 year left. Yes.
That's a real good shout, that. I might put her in just
do it.
Do it. But which number, though? What are we going for?
In midfield? 7.
Should we just put her in there? It's not letting me copy and paste that with. Oh, what's that? Lowercase. Just put her in there for now. Let's go for that. Again, people are going to debate this as to whether this is realistic or not. But
let's go. Let's pop. Where are we going to pop Carolyn in? Where's she going to go?
It's got to be 11, 10, or 8 for me.
Pop her in as the 8 because we're going to get that Eintracht Frankfurt forward.
Melly, if you're still in the chat, how realistic is Freigang to United? I don't
like
think
you said, like it's how it's if you rocked up to her and said you can have £300,000 a year.
I'd love her, I really would, but she's on my realistic list because, as you said, I think if we put money behind it, I think it's possible. But I don't think she'd leave Germany, personally. But I might just get rid of that banner that says realistic 11 and just build it.
Random 11.
There you go, Charlie. You got something to look forward to?
Oh, I wonder if it's different.
So that's an answer to what I was saying about Fry. She loves the city and club a lot. It's going to take a big. I'm assuming that's money you're talking about there. Fry and to let it go, but I think it's more realistic. I have a feeling she's just going to go to Wolfsburg though, but I want to put her in because I just think it is realistic. If she's going to move, I think in the next 12 months anyway. If she carries on how good she is currently being, she will move. Right, let's go for it.
Might be able to put on like a 2-year something or other.
Let's go for that. Oh no, at striker. Because then where are we putting Carolyn? Unless we go 2.
We could go 4-4-2.
Yeah, should we change this to
the old-fashioned 4-4-2, or
and then go Carolyn
a diamond?
If we
go, we can fit in none of our million wide players that we have.
Oh, TJ, no! I keep getting this name thrown to me. I don't want her at United. I mean, it's realistic. Yeah, it is. It's more realistic than I want it to be.
What about? Would you put some money in for? Who's that PSG midfielder that people were cross at for a long time?
Jackie Gronin.
Jackie Gronin. No, not Jackie Gronin. Helen, you said it. Who was it?
Kira Hamraoui.
Yes.
Essentially.
She's a bit old as well, I think.
So I'd probably keep Galton as the left sided. I'd probably keep Galton there.
Galton and Hansen.
Oh, Jessica Silva.
Oh, I like her. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good shout.
Does anyone think we might be getting Corpola from Spurs as a backup? Just because she's free. I don't know.
Just because she's free.
I just had a feeling.
That's literally, whenever anyone says, "Oh, what do you think about this player for United might be interested?" I just write, "Are they free?" Because if they're free, probably we are interested.
Now, that's another good name. But where would we put her? That's the problem. So there's a lot of forwards or like attacking players on this list, but she's another one who's had a fantastic at Levante, I think, currently. So that would be another forward we could put in. Yeah, more of a bargain buy. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what other positions we need. Right back, I don't think we necessarily need one with Riviere coming through. We'd maybe need a backup one. The backup one that I was looking at and that we were linked to at the time was Hanovic, but she signed a new contract now anyway, so that's not happening.
I don't think necessarily the starting back four. I don't know how much work that necessarily needs. It's like if Honor was still there, you'd say no work at all. But it's going to be interesting to see how Jade hits the ground running because she's going to have to, isn't she?
Yeah, I think what Raven's saying that she's going to Arsenal, so I don't think it's realistic at the moment. Maybe in a couple of years, but by that point, I think we've missed the boat on that one. Trying to think what other positions we probably need, as Helen said at the start, we probably do need a backup to Lad or a better player than Lad, and Lad drops to the backup if Lisa's not going to be that. So if we're going for
Lisa, see, it's quite exciting now. Actually, I'm remembering who's in our squad.
Long lost Lisa.
I know.
So
another CDM then.
Can I put Pacheco at left back? Just as a realistic option at left back? Because again, I'm surprised she's not featuring more for the Lioness as it is. And I think
Serena doesn't like an actual left back playing at left back. There's flipping loads of them. There's loads of brilliant English left backs that don't get a look.
That's when you're talking about realistic, it is. There's so many good names here. Oh. I'm just having a look at our squad in case I've missed anybody. Trying to think who's coming back off loan as well, but I don't think any of the loans get into what this would be anyway.
Just need some further clarification here. So because we've got Earps there, are we also allowed to keep, say, some of our existing players?
Well, I was going to put Leitzig in goalkeeper because I think she's realistic and we do need a backup goalkeeper, albeit she doesn't want to be a backup. I think if we're building a realistic 11, I think Leitzig should be in that goalkeeping slot because she is realistic and also we do need a backup keeper. So it depends on how we're doing this. Are we building a United 11 that we want to see, which I don't think we are because, again, like I said, Pacheco doesn't start over Blundell for me. So I think this should be more of a realistic 11 rather than or unless you want to build a realistic United 11 for next season.
Well, if we were doing that,
then we need to take Freigang out for me and change the formation back to it.
No, we don't. Why do we?
Okay, we won't take her out, but we do need to change it to that. And take Pacheco out and put Blundell back at left.
Kevin's going as the 8 or the 10. No, Kevin's going as the 8. Toon is going to be the 10.
Let's go with that.
Who's everyone's favourite right side attacker? Mine's Garcia, but I don't think we need to do any work there. I think we've got her and we've got Paris.
I've changed it to realistic start at 11 rather than. So are we putting Blundell at left back again, or am I sticking with Pacheco at left? Or is there another name that we think is realistic that we could get that's better than Blundell on the left-hand side? I don't think there's anyone that's realistic that we could get her that's better than what we've got, personally. There's better players than Blundell for sure, but I don't think there's anyone that's available that we could get.
I think we've got to show solidarity to the player of the season.
Yeah. I'm happy with that. I don't think there's any doubt in that. Letizia, right centre back.
Well, Katie's going to start, isn't she, as captain? So realistically, you probably want to put her in as the second.
Is there anyone better that we could get? Realistically, well, obviously there is. There's better players out there, but is there?
Depends what you want. So obviously, for some people, she was rubbish because she wasn't playing for Serena, but now she is playing for Serena. She's probably less rubbish. I don't know. So I also wouldn't want us to go for wholesale changes.
Well, I think that's the thing here, isn't it? It's like that left centre back position. I'm trying to think who is out there that is better than Turner. Because for me, well, everyone knows my view. I don't rate Turner that highly. I think she's been in a very good back five, and I think she suits that. But I think on her own, I don't think she's as good as, certainly not as good as Letizia next to her. I think if we could get a more of a traditional left-sided centre back, maybe. But again, when you're talking about realism, certainly this summer, I don't think we'd replace.
See, put Jade in at 5.
Are we definitely Riviera's staying on the right?
Yeah, that would be why we Honor going. Surely it would have been why we got her in the first place. You would think.
So for her in at 5.
I quite like Paulina Dudek of PSG. Maybe this should have been in the, maybe not Dream 11, but I don't know her contract situation. But if we're looking for a centre half,
yeah,
it depends. Do you think that's a realistic one? Do you think that's possible, or?
I've chosen another injured player. Depends if she stays.
I can't think of another centre back that's realistic for us at the moment. There's probably some out there, but I don't think there's any off the top of my head.
Gamma from Juventus.
Should we raid Juventus? Sticking on Juve players in here.
Did you take Berenstein? That's an interesting one.
Oh, yes.
I think she's all right. Competition on the right. Does she play on the right? I think she can play anywhere.
Well, do you know who I want to? Do you know who I want to put on the right hand side? I want to put Kirsty Hansen out there.
She's not done quite well on the left for Villa.
Well, she's played on the left for Villa last season, but I think she can probably play. Well, she has. She's played on the right for us, so I think she could probably play out on the right hand side, unless we put Carolyn on the right. Hansen on the left, but then we're leaving. And that's a good point, actually. Where's Galton? Are we leaving one of our top scorers out of our realistic starting 11? That can't be right.
She's filling in at left back or left centre half.
No, we can't do that. We can't leave Galton out.
So is this a league game or a County Cup game?
Toon on the right, Carolyn in the middle. No, for me, we're going to have to take Freigang out. I think this rules have changed slightly from realistic players to get. If we're going realistic starting 11, it's Carolyn up top. Or a certain other Barca player that we're linked to. And not the one I can't pronounce. Yeah, that's the other one I'm thinking of.
She's like the Wesley Schneider of the women's team. Every year we're getting Oshwal.
Yes.
I think if you're talking about realistic signs, Oshwal of this summer is more likely than Carolyn. For me. Because I think Carolyn, we will get, but I don't think it's going to be this summer.
Because of the American League.
Because of just the way the timings are. So I think if we're looking at a realistic striker, I think Oshwal would go up top, and we take Carolyn out because realistic this summer she probably isn't.
Galton in for Carolyn.
I've just noticed as well the comments haven't been coming through on here for the last 10 minutes or so. So I'm just reading back through your comments. I'm sorry I've not brought any of them up, and I'm not ignoring them. On my screen, none of them have come up for the last 10 minutes. So I'm just catching back up on what people have been saying. Obviously, there's a few shouts for Beth England. A couple of shouts for Hansen. Talking about promoting Patel instead over Bagley. Yeah.
Yeah.
Grosso now 6. Don't disagree with that. About Zelen being underrated. Not Hansen over Lucia. Yeah, Carolyn in January is he over? I probably should have set the parameters before we went live here. So it depends what we're talking to the realistic signs over the next 12 months, or whether we're talking about realistic signings this summer. I think we change it to this summer to because otherwise we could be naming everybody. So are you happy when we taking Carolyn and Freigang out?
Yep. Who are we replacing them with?
I think Oshuala goes up top.
Okay.
Player that's just been mentioned in the chat, Esme Brute, I think goes on the right.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Dutch.
Potentially. So if I go... there. Are we leaving Grosso in? I think it's realistic. Do we need it? Probably not.
11. And then Galton at 8.
Sorry, I'm trying to read the chat on my phone at the same time. Yeah, I think Galton's got to stay at 8 because we're not going to sign a left winger. And Hansen will probably interchange with her on that side. So we go in that. Galton. That's probably going to be Zellum if we're going for... I don't think we're going to sign another. And then it's just another centre-back, whether we're going to sign another... There's a lot of comments saying put Lisa in instead of Grosso.
Happy to do that.
Do you know... I will do it, because I think that what will happen.
Oh, forget a full named.
An L before the S or an... Oh, it's an L, isn't it?
Yeah.
Trying to make sure I don't spell
No,
it.
Sund.
Yeah, Sunday, that's the one. Yeah, I don't know why I've gone full names for some and not others. But, here we go. Comments have just come through on my laptop. Right. Grosso's not good. Well, this is what I was... So my point was, what I was just about to say was, this worries me a little bit, the fact that we've got realistic signings 11. And if we're going... Let's just put, for argument's sake, only 2 make the 11. That worries me a little bit, the fact that we're looking off one of our best ever season, and we can only think of 2 names that are realistic, that we're currently linked to, or loosely linked, however you want to look at it, that would actually make our 11 better. I don't know. Is it just me that's concerned by that? Or
I would say 2 of them. So another 2 of them, Riviere and Nalsund, haven't played, have they? So
yeah, that's a fair
they're
point.
people we got in January that have barely kicked the ball, aren't they? Things you just don't know. It's really hard to like. I think a dream 11 is easier to think about than a realistic 11 because, like, I sit here thinking, well, to a point, not obviously cherry picking from Barca or Bayern Munich and teams like that, but I think to a point, 90% of players should be realistic for United. 1, because they're United, which I know people hate when you say that, but they are, and 2, because of spending a couple $100,000 on a player isn't going to break the bank for Man United. So it should be, lots of players should be realistic. I'm just not convinced that we're going to go out and get for Mark Skinner who we need to get, which psychologically makes it really hard to think about what's realistic, because everything should be realistic, if that makes sense. It makes it really difficult.
I think that's the thing. I mean, Sarah's saying here, so is Ladd not getting in our starting 11? Depends who you think's better, Lisa or Ladd for me. If we're not going to sign another midfielder that's better than both. I know what TJ's saying here. You know, we were okay last season. No need to completely tear down the roster. I agree, but we definitely need a striker. We definitely need a right winger.
But we've put those. That's what we've put down, though.
Yeah.
We've put those two down.
And then, so now realistically, we should get the Dream 11 because who wouldn't want to play for United? That's what we think. You know, obviously, as United fans are always going to say that, but for players, it's obviously a different thing. I don't know what you mean by this comment. Skinner makes it difficult. So please elaborate as to what you mean by that one. But Helen, have you got any disagreements with that? Do you think there's anyone else that we've not named or that we have named that you think are realistic for us this summer that would get into that 11?
Unless he puts Evans straight in. But no, barring injury or anything, no. I think
it's just do you think Lucy Parker is better than Millie Turner? If we're going off realistic signings, do you think Parker would get in ahead of Turner on that left side?
No, but just because of the centre half relationship is already there with Millie and Maya. It's not only about the individual quality, is it? It's the partnership with who's alongside you. And our back four, of course, the right back has to change, but I think keep the rest of them because of their relationship playing together week in, week out. And maybe for cup games, only change one of the four or one and the goalkeeper, perhaps.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think in answer to that quickly, what's the big? I think teased you the answer. It was the Lisa fee, which I think was 100. I'm going to say between 130 and 150. I think it was around that mark anyway.
We've not mentioned Bo Risa either, have we? Because we know she won't start.
Wow. Yeah, I can't imagine her starting. That's for sure. Unless they go completely rogue next season, and we've got a whole new midfield. I'm going to take that off screen.
Saving her for the Champions League.
We could be doing that all night, but yeah, I'm not sure with Bo Risa where she. I don't know. Like, who do you take out? That's the thing. But Chelsea find a way, so there's got to be scope, I'm sure, for next season. He's elaborated. Some players will not come to United. Scale would not start them. I don't know whether it's a thing about starting them all the time. Emma Hayes rotates a lot more, but she is able to because she's got the players to do it. That's what Skin needs to. He needs to get to a point where he trusts his 11 enough, trusts his squad enough to be able to rotate more in the squad. But it's a fair assessment. We'll ultimately see over the summer in terms of who signs, and then we'll see next season whether he keeps his word with more rotation, as he said, with Bo Risa and Garcia in particular. So we shall see. Right, one quick fire question, and just before we wrap this one up. Kind of a mixture of both of what we've spoke about, really, dream and realistic. You can only pick one player to sign this summer. Who are you taking? I probably should have prepped that. I was going to ask this.
Any player.
Yeah, anyone you want.
Sophia Smith, all day long.
Helen?
I'm going to go for Ava Pyle.
No, it's definitely a striker, isn't it? If you could sign one, it's got to be a striker. Pop, Sophia Smith, Pyle. I'm torn between all of them now.
Ebony Salmon.
Do you know what? I think Stu Barker was on the show a couple of weeks ago, said about Ebony Salmon. Like, if we announced her the day after Russo had gone, can you imagine that? I think that would be quite something. What? Skinner has been signing bench warmers and only used Williams and Garcia with success. I mean, I think, Charlie, you said it's about his signings. Letitia worked. Williams and Garcia clearly worked. They did what they were there to do.
Paris
I think we'll see more of Garcia. Paris worked. Tunkara, you could argue, didn't. Leon didn't. We signed one more. Who else did we sign last summer?
Clinton.
That was it. Well, that's worked as well because she had a successful loan at Bristol and is going to come back a better player. Yeah, Pop would love a German. I just want a German player. I genuinely cannot remember the last. Was it Schweinsteiger for the men's side? The last time we signed a German player.
Oh, Midfield. him and Schneiderlin. I thought we were going to batter everyone with that midfield. Oh.
And it was one of the worst seasons.
Darmian and Depay.
Di Maria and Falcao and everyone else in that window that we signed. Yeah, Basti Schweinsteiger. Well, Melly, you're going to get Sabitzer back from us. It was not a great loan, let's be honest. But yeah, I'd like to see us do more with Bayern Munich or just German clubs in general. That was the other player. Obviously, more of it was a January one, but Cascarino was another player. What's going to happen to her? Nobody knows. I don't even think the clubs know, to be honest. PSG announced one thing, United announced another, so I don't know what's going on. Yeah, it was a loan for a reason. It could be a whole separate show on Bayern Munich, particularly the men's side. They're just signing everybody at the moment. And the women's as well, to be fair. They're making some moves. I'd keep an eye on them next season. But we'll talk about that close to the end of the window anyway. I think we've done pretty much everything in the last 90 minutes or so. Matt didn't join us. I'm pretty sure he's still stuck on the on the East Lancs Road. He messaged me about half an hour ago, said he was still there. So there we are. When's the next show? It'll be some point later this week. Obviously, there's a lot of transfer stuff going on. We have a big transfer show next Monday, so keep an eye out for that one. With a well-respected journalist as well to give us some of the insights on what's going on. So make sure you keep around for that one. Obviously, liking the video and subscribing if you're new around here. And yeah, we shall see you guys in the next one.